Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Marketing Happy Hour. I am one of your hosts, Dr. Christopher Vogelmann of Maximize Your Media, our digital agency, and of drvogelmann.com by the same name. With us, as always, I'm going to go, where are you? You guys all disappeared in different times.
I know.
Announce yourself.
John. All right, I'll start. Hey, I'm John Paduchak, johnpaduchak.com, and videosaresocial.com. And that's our digital agency where we do all kinds of stuff with live video and virtual events.
Good deal. Cam the man.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
I'm Cam from epicconversions.com and One Step Away podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today, guys.
How's it hanging out, Kayvon?
Hello.
Hello.
Things are good. It's, as you can see, it's a beautiful sunny day, sun in my eyes kind of a day in Vancouver. This is Kayvon from Simplify.zone. I'm an execution coach helping entrepreneurs getting things done by getting out of their own way.
Awesome.
Okay. And hopefully we're getting out of our own way.
Yes.
To get into today's topic. I just spilled coffee. Speaking of getting out of your own way.
Yes.
But it's on my pants. This is the beauty of live broadcasting. It's everywhere. So we're going to talk about today
pants on fire, kind of
about getting connected. Well, yeah, some parts of these pants are on fire right now. The good news, it had cooled somewhat, waiting for you all to show up. So anyway, but we're talking today about making connections and keeping connections, or getting attention and maintaining attention. And I guess, coffee in your pants really does get your attention.
It's coffee. I swear to God, it's coffee.
There's a song in there somewhere.
I could show it to you, but I'd be tilting it towards the keyboard, and I think we'd have an electronic disaster.
We'll
be banned from Facebook.
Well, no, I'm not going to show you my pants. That's a whole different story. Hey, so what are some of the favorite ways? We talked last week, we were talking about the intention behind connections.
Yeah.
And why we connect with people, whether it was for genuine empathy and helping people, or scamming them, or just because it's all about them dollar bills, y'all. Any thoughts about today? How you go about getting connected with people, making those initial connections? I'll start with Cam because he's our email man, because that's the easiest one to go after.
Yeah, I think it's a couple things, right? When we talk about connecting with people and how I want to go about connecting with people, it starts off with intent, right? Like, I need to know, what is my purpose when I'm reaching out to people? What is the intent behind my message? It starts out with that. I can't just meander along. People are too busy. It's okay for me to write a longer email or a longer message, but there has to be an intent behind it to begin with. And then the second thing is, and this is really important, just to be myself. It's important that, like, my unique voice is shining through in those messages. Or else I'm going to create a disconnect. So that's what I would say.
Isn't that one of the challenges of using templates? Because there's a lot of people who sell templates for emails and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, well, let someone else talk. So yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, John, how do you connect with people?
Yeah, I love how Cam started out with intent, because intent really is everything. And I was saying the other day that I use a little bit of law of attraction when I tell people about video, that kind of gets them on that step. But never a better time to be out in front of people on video with everything going on with live. And then, of course, we've got Clubhouse that we've been experimenting with. And, of course, more and more people are beginning to hear about that. I just got an email, I think today or yesterday, from Ryan Lee saying that his business improved like 20% after just being on one appearance on Clubhouse. I mean, who wouldn't love that, right? And then
pretty good.
Yeah. And then, we connect with people on LinkedIn and Launch Club. I mean, there's just so many places to make connections. And the big thing is just reaching out and doing it.
It's not unusual to connect with people over coffee, except you don't want to spill your coffee.
Yeah. And now it's kind of hard to do because,
and if you're going to spill it, at least spill it on yourself.
That's true.
Yeah, as long as if you don't spill it on the other person. I learned that, it's always good when I remember being a waiter and spilling an entire dinner salad down a guy's suit. And the good news was it wasn't my table. So,
That was, I think, good news.
So yeah. So you
Kayvon, how
messed
do you
with the
connect?
other guy's tip, right?
it's the other guy. Well, it was the other guy's table, but it was
Yes.
okay. It was banquets.
Yes.
Nobody tips at banquets. So
Yeah, I like what has been said. We have been talking about the intention, so I don't think I have anything to add to that. But you mentioned the templates, and I'm thinking maybe we should realize that everything we do is in templates. Like we don't come up, even in personal communication, there is a cadence to it, and certain way of like hi, how are you. So everything has a template, so it doesn't matter how complicated the template is or what the medium is. In all situations we have a chance to show up as ourselves or not, and it's not always malintent. Many times it's maybe I don't feel like it today, or I'm shy, or low self-confidence, and I have been through all of that personally myself. And every time you show up as yourself, even if not one word is changed, even if we're not even aware of it, but it comes through. People will pick up on that. And of course, these days with video and Clubhouse with audio or phone, all of that, it's easier to pick up. But I do remember reading some emails that you get the same sort of a feeling from the other side. So as far as showing up with our own voice, I think that goes along with the intention, and it would be a good thing to remind ourselves big at the beginning of every conversation to just be yourself, man, kind of a thing.
Well, yeah, you can always try to pretend or imitate or model. The challenge is that nobody can do you as well as you can, as John always reminds me.
I do, don't
you
I?
be you
You be you, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know I do these email sequences and sell those sometimes. Like a set of 20 engagement emails or whatever. And when I do those, and I license them with like rights to them, and when I do those, it's like me personally, like I want the entertainment value in the emails as well as the actionable content, and I'll go back and forth with it. But like I still, when it comes to entertainment value, like I don't tell personal stories in those emails because I know other people are going to be using them. So what I'll do for those personal stories is I will, talk about like historical figures, or I'll talk about some topical celebrity, something that most people would be familiar with, and we could still tell, an interesting, engaging story that most people are familiar with, and I don't have to go into my personal stories or my personal experiences because other people won't be able to use those, right? Because they're going to be using that template or that email. But I think we can still achieve some pretty good results, even with those kind of I don't want to say generic, but even with those emails that aren't so much personal information. So I think you can do good with templates like Kayvon was talking about. It's look, at some point everyone scales, right? At some point everyone runs out of time. That's the commodity we don't have like loads and loads of. We all only get 24 hours in a day. That's all we get. There's no getting more, and we don't know how many of them we have. So at some point, everyone in the business wants to scale, right? And that means you're not going to do everything. So how do you go about it? You have to template something out. You have to start building some kind of framework that doesn't involve you being the center of the universe for the whole business, or you're not going to be able to scale. So,
and I think that you do a great job of storytelling. That's the one thing I always remember from your emails. I mean, but if I were going to imitate you, there's no way in hell I would say "Go Browns" at the end.
No.
So John, are there certain things or factors that you look at when you're connecting with someone? Because you're doing a lot of stuff with video, you're doing video events and other things. And I think this question of gaining somebody's attention, is there some special secret sauce that you have?
No, I don't think there's really a special secret sauce. Just try to keep it authentic, genuine, and just do whatever you need to do to connect or try to work with, whatever the other person's challenge is, make sure that you're helping them out, helping them through. or connect on that fact. Maybe somebody's having a little bit of a challenge with something that you can help out with. So it gives you an excuse or reason to connect.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask Kayvon, how do you think empathy fits into this whole thing? Be able to put yourself in the other person's shoes.
Yeah. That's my honest opinion on that is much easier than you would think.
Yeah.
Right. We always think that this is some special scale of, looking at the world from the other person's point of view, putting ourselves in their shoes. But if it's one of those things that you do it a few times and you realize this is not hard, it's easy because we have a lot more in common, or we can run parallels in our lives, and it's easy to, if it just needs a few minutes or a few seconds of effort and attention to get closer to the other person. You guys were talking about storytelling. So as I told you guys, I'm writing my book, and there is a fiction part to it. I'm telling a story of an entrepreneur going through challenges and that sort of thing. So I'm not making any stories up. I'm using all real stories. But, it's like one of those movies based on real events kind of a thing. The name of the characters.
I hope you're changing the names to protect the innocent, because I really don't want to tell all in your book.
It's the confessions of a reluctant entrepreneur.
No mention of the coffee incident of February 3rd.
Yeah.
Kayvon, that's a really cool concept, man. When's your book coming out, man? What can you tell us when it's coming out and what it's called?
Yes, I'll mention that in a second. But before that, I heard something the other day from a person that I was listening to, and I really like that. So I think it's relevant to what we're talking about, as in making a connection, delivering some value while mixing it with storytelling. So it was, if I don't butcher it, it was never tell a story without having a point to make, and never make a point without having a story to tell about it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
So,
nice.
Yeah, I love that too. So, we have something to say. How can I wrap it up in a story and make it and practice it and tell a good story that by the end of it, there is a lesson or a point to make and that sort of thing. Thanks for asking about the book. So the book is, it's one of those things that I always wanted to do, but you never get to it until I had a call with my mentor, Mr. Michael Gerber, the author of The E-Myth. So he basically sent me a message. It's been a while. Let's catch up. So we were on a call, and I gave him my updates and what's going on and what I'm doing with my clients. So I say all of that, and of course, the wise mentor he is, his response to all of that was, Kayvon, it's time for you to write your book. And right there, you have that moment inside. Damn it! Right, but you have when your mentor asks you something, you say yes. So I said yes to it. Then I started to look around. I'm a big believer in finding a good process and give myself to the process.
Yeah.
So I looked into these book programs and that sort of thing. Found one that I liked. I'm in the program now. I'm just following the steps, being a good soldier, and things are happening. They have a great process, and right now I finished the first manuscript, which was about 56,000 words, and they looked at that. They gave me the green light for the next step. I am now rewriting some of that and writing the fiction part. So according to the schedule, we are in the rewriting and editing stage. So the paperback and ebook is going to come out late April, early May. The book is
great.
Yeah. And a few months after that, the hardcover, and the end of the year, the audiobook.
I love it, man. I can't wait, dude.
Will you be narrating?
Yeah, and because as an auditory person, I always like the books that they are by the author,
Got it.
him or herself. So next month, I signed up for this local course for audiobook narration, voice training. So I'm gonna taking that course and practice till the end of the year and get ready for narrating the book. So the book is called Simplify, and subtitle is Extreme Effectiveness for Entrepreneurs. And for anybody who's listening, if you're interested to know more about it or get some of the early release content, let me know. Just send DM me on Facebook or Instagram, and we will take it from there. So it's basically a bunch of it's the story of this entrepreneur in a period of 2 or 3 weeks. No, actually 2 or 3 months. Some stuff happens, some challenges show up. He tries to deal with them, and in the conversation with his coach, mentor, there are new or better ways of doing things implemented. He changes, grows as a person and as an entrepreneur, and goes from an overworked entrepreneur to an effective entrepreneur. So that's the idea. It has a lot of moving parts. It's very intimidating work. I'm scared. I have all sorts of roller coaster moments in writing the book, but it's at the end of it is very joyful.
That's
Nice.
extraordinary. That's exceptional. Well, that's one great way to connect with people is write a book.
Yeah.
Man, one of my
Got my
favorite,
attention.
yeah, definitely, man. And like one of my favorite books had fictional, basically a fictional aspect to it, which was the richest man in Babylon, which is basically just kind of a fictional story. And I love that book, man. It really taught me a lot, just about it's about saving money and just about thinking about how I deal with money and stuff like that. This is early on in my journey, but I definitely love the book. It was really cool, man.
Books like that and E-Myth, by Michael Gerber, it's that whole story of a person, and you're learning the lessons as you go through. And there is that end part of every chapter that actually the nonfiction part explains it. As you said, those books are very helpful. There is a point and there is a story, and we put them together. So even though I'm not a writer, but I have taken on the challenge because I guess we're called to do this.
Greatest salesman in the world was a little like that too.
Yes,
so really cool book. No doubt, man. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it, man. You have to let us know when you get closer to releasing it, man. You have to talk about it on the show.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody listening is interested. You guys, the same thing. The page for it is simplify.zone/book.
Book. That's easy to remember.
And it's simple and easy. So there is that little background story. There is a part that people can add themselves to the updates list and that sort of thing. So yeah, we can go from there.
Means we should have a book release party here.
Let's do it.
I was like,
Kayvon, do you have like a kind of a book funnel that you want to set up for the launch, or are you just going to kind of like put it out there, or like what's your intention with it, you think?
Yeah, there would be a book funnel because two intentions are happening here. One, and I'm going to share my approach with you, and I would love to get your feedback on it, all of you guys. Yeah. So intention number one is obviously write a book that is going to be valuable to people, change lives, make things better, make things easier, and all of that. And we know we're not going to make any money from the book.
Right.
That's obvious. And I am not looking to make money from the book either. So I'm hoping for opportunities that they come after the book is released. So yes, there would be a book funnel for those opportunities, not for the book itself, but for those opportunities. With the program that I'm in, there is a period of now we're going to focus on marketing and release and launch and all of that after the editing and all of that is over. So that would be like a 5-month process. I probably will add some personal things to that, which is one of the examples that I'm going to share with you. And on the other hand, because I know that I'm not going to make any money from the book, all I'm looking for is break even. And I was talking to someone. So here's what I did that at the time was a simple thing, but then I realized it was important. I started to connect to strangers who have written books in their past, or they're in book publishing business by making some posts in Facebook groups. 100 and something people connected and replied and commented, and I ended up on about 15 phone calls and that sort of thing. And they were, and my question was for them, I'm clear on the what to do. I like to hear the what not to do things as far as writing a book, and what are the traps that I should avoid. So they gave me a bunch of great advice, and I documented them all. I'm gonna actually create a post about that. If you guys think this is helpful, we can give a session to that, and I prepare something and we go for that. So one of the one of the ideas that I got from one of the people that I talked to was he also has written a book about entrepreneurship and that sort of thing, and because he has a full-time job, So basically, business is somewhere else. Book is for something. He has donated 100% of any money that is made from the book to some sort of entrepreneurial charity for young people, students in high school and that sort of thing, teaching them entrepreneurial skills by helping them set up a initial business and that sort of thing. And I love that idea.
Yeah, that's a good
You know, it's for a good cause. It goes to a good place. And also people who buy it, now they are motivated to buy multiple copy, like packages of 10 and 20 and that sort of thing, because it's helping those kids and charity and that sort of thing.
Right
So
on.
that intention of not only writing a helpful book, but also making good things happen, because that money is not coming here. Let's send it that way. And the opportunity that's come after that, then that would be my personal marketing and promotion and that sort of thing. How does that sound?
I
Yeah.
think it sounds fantastic, man. You know, you're on a special like sub journey of entrepreneurship. Like we all go on these side quests. You know what I mean? Like we have this. You know, we're on these main quests, and then we have these little side quests. And one thing I would say that I don't know if this has occurred to you or not, but I would say you know, start doing a little audio podcast, even if you're just, you know, putting it in the vault and not doing anything with it. Just like, you know, every day, every other day, record 5 or 10 minutes of audio talking about your process, how you felt today about it, like what kinds of things you're going through as you get closer and closer to launch. And then what happens is you got 3 or 4 months of, it's an asset, right? You got this podcast. It's like
it's
an
a
asset.
great idea.
And you could do something with it, you know, you could put it up
Recording the journey, and in future, it
might be an upsell for your book funnel, man. It might be an upsell in your book funnel. So
or
the audio.
I'm even happy to give it away, because if it's going to help someone, it's just me talking, and it's self-therapy too. On the same sort of an idea. So that hasn't occurred to me. That's a fantastic idea. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing that, you know, I mentioned that simplify.zone/book, people who add themselves to that list, and I think I have around 45 or 65 people on the list right now. The plan that I have is, as I finalize each chapter more with the people who are on the list, I like to create live sessions, Zoom sessions like that, and read them the chapter or share the lesson in a presentation or something, and get live feedback from people. Say, you know, even if it's thumbs up or thumbs down. So I like to actually this to be co-authoring the book with actual audience as we go, and I can apply those feedback before the book gets out there.
Nice.
And, you know, because I thought that would be helpful in creating a book that is going to change lives.
You know,
with actual feedback.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because one of my friends, he's in the process of writing a book right now, and one of the things he did very early is he created a book study group.
Yes,
and he actually made it a paid book study group, and he got great feedback on it, and it's amazing how it shaped the book. It was spectacular to watch the evolution of it from where he started to where, you know, it got closer and closer to where it was ready to publish. But the book study was amazing. I mean, he just did a great job with it, putting lessons together on each chapter. And then
I would love to talk to your friend and, you know, exchange some notes with him. If you,
I'm sure I could
put us in touch, that would be awesome.
Yeah. But it was great, and he got great feedback, and it really changed the book around a lot.
Yeah, because it's a process of creation like anything else, and it's that build, measure, learn kind of a process.
Yeah, and the feedback's important. Yeah. You know, if you get a two-way street going on it, you can really make some big changes that make it even more impactful.
Yes.
So I just signed up, Kayvon, and but it's interesting because in terms of attention and engagement, you threw me into a quiz, which I'm even more intrigued about at this point, which actually would keep my attention for quite some time.
Yes, I can see your email has arrived.
Genius,
you're on the list now.
The Genius Zone quiz. It really appeals to me. See, now you've captured my attention in real time, but I'm not going to actually fill out the 21 questions at this point. I'm going to return to our broadcast.
Yes, thank you.
Where is it at, Doc? Is it at simplify.zone?
Simplify.zone /book.
Okay.
Sign up for that little sucker, and suddenly you're in the Kayvon matrix.
Pop
You're
quiz.
So
Trap.
I'm never getting out now.
There is no way out. What is the name of that plant?
Yeah, Venus flytrap.
Venus, yeah.
The Venus flytrap. Yeah, it's
Like the Venus flytrap, yeah.
Falling in.
the one where it's
Wow.
carnivorous and it tries to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My son's really into carnivorous plants. He's 12 years old. He's really into carnivorous plants, and he's got 2 Venus flytraps.
There you go.
They're in a dormant phase right now.
Yeah. I was too, actually.
Like they hibernate in the winter like bears. So
Oh, wow.
There are not as many flies around in the winter unless you live in a garbage.
No,
yeah, that's true.
we used to do that too.
That's actually one of my favorite scenes from was it the Ice Age movies?
Mm.
When they go to the plant and the plant is filling up with all of the juices, digestive juices, and they want to get out, and there are 2 tubes that he wants to cut, just like diffusing a bomb.
Which one do I
And the color changes, doesn't know, is it the blue tube or is the red?
Funny, man. I love that little squirrel in those Ice Ages movies.
Yes. Well, speaking of storytelling and make a connection, they are
Or
doing
squirrel.
a fantastic job. Squirrel. Oh, let me tell you guys a fantastic story behind that squirrel moment in Up. So if you have seen the movie Up, there is that dog called Doug.
Yeah.
And with my accent, they both sound the same. The name and the name of the animal.
Dog.
So, and he goes, he gets distracted. He goes, squirrel. So the story behind that is the director or the storyteller, the creators behind that. They have they have a few dogs in their home, 2 or 3, and in a hot summer day when they sit in the backyard, their dogs and neighbor dogs, they all come and chill out on the grass. And at any point, they could have 7 or 8 dogs all sitting on the grass, and it's hot day, and they're all panting. So this is what the guy does. He gets on his 4 and sits amongst them, and he goes just like them. So for the first few seconds, dogs look at him like, "What are you doing, dude?" But you know what? After a minute, they accept him as one of his own and one of their own.
That's funny.
So when he gets to that moment, he's just sitting there, and he does this. Looks at the side and says, "All of those dogs, they look like what? What are we looking at? What are we looking at?" No, he comes back, and goes, looks at the other way, and all dogs go, "Yeah, like what? What are we looking at?" So that became the inspiration behind the squirrel moment in the cartoon.
That's funny, man. Hey, I was reading an article the other day that said there's a company out now. They've got the prototype for the thing that will like translate what the dog is trying to say. It's got they've inputted 10,000 different. And we're talking about connection here, all right?
Yeah.
We're talking about
Okay. I think there is a point. Okay.
There's a point where it's too much of a stretch.
Yes.
Anyways, man, I'm telling you, that's coming. It's down the pipeline. This whole thing with dogs and being
I'm
able to.
so glad you said that, because when you said they're coming up with the prototype, I thought they're gonna come up with a flying house with balloons.
I'm sure that's already been done.
So I was going to go back to, we started by capturing attention and maintaining attention. So what about the maintaining attention or maintaining connections? What are anybody have any special secrets or codes or formula or ways of nurturing those relationships?
Anybody else want to go first? I hate just like going first every time.
I'm going to make John go first because he's sitting there. I volunteered you.
Well, I just try to think of whenever I'm connecting with somebody personally, you want to make them feel like the most important person around, right? You want to be a good listener. You want to try to take in what they're saying and not try to feed back something to them. You're listening. You're trying to respond in an appropriate way to that. And I think the same is true with the way that we go about communicating with them regularly. If we're a good listener and we really know the person that we're trying to communicate with, then it's pretty easy to keep that connection.
So what about scheduling times for, checking in periodically with the client or with somebody else?
I don't know. Mine vary a lot. Depends on kind of the audience and how I'm trying to interact with them. I think one thing I found that's been really helpful for us is having the group that we work with, the Facebook group, the local marketing strategies group, I think has really helped us a lot in communication wise. Because once you have a group of people that are really kind of polarized in a particular direction, you get a lot of feedback as to what they like and don't like. And that really is good, good feedback to make your interactions stronger too.
I'm assuming they're polarized in a positive direction as opposed to creating conflicts.
Typically, I mean, and that's the idea of creating a good group, is to try to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
So,
and the good thing about those groups, and you're talking about maintaining connection, I think the important thing is the frequency and consistency, because it's out of sight, out of mind. So showing up in front of them and you mentioned empathy and emotions before, and John just said it beautifully, as in making them the most important person. I remember something that I read by Maya Angelou. Again, I'm going to butcher it, but it was, people never remember what you said or what you did, but they always remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
So the email and being yourself and being positive and being, something that you have to say that makes their life better. So they always look at the communication from you that, this is going to be, a ray of light in every, in my day. And let me just quickly read this email or this answering or this post, because if you're consistent with positivity, something comes out of it. And you mentioned schedule. I think there was this tool called Hassle Me or something like that basically it sends you reminders on a periodic basis, but it's not like a calendar that every month or every 13th of you say, I want to be reminded around monthly kind of a thing. So a few days back and forth, but not on the same schedule, it reminds you. So it's like the example of the guy that he was, our friend Ari Maisel, he was teaching me, he said, it's like you want to make sure that every once in a while you buy flowers for your wife before going home, but you don't want to do it always on the 15th of the month, right?
Yeah, or on a Thursday.
Yeah, or on Thursday or whatever. So Hassle Me kind of reminds you.
Gotta keep her guessing, man.
Yeah,
keep
on her toes.
I'm like a secret ninja. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Gamify that relationship.
Surprise!
Yeah, you didn't see that coming, did you?
You didn't see it coming, man.
So I'm guessing, keeping constant contact on a regular basis, and just, an email or a phone call to a friend, just to say hi, how are you doing? And the opposite of that is true as well. Like, I do remember specifically some friendships, quote unquote friendships, that I stopped investing any time or energy in them and cut them off, because every time I received the communication from that person, because they wanted something. I have in between, I never received a text message or just wanted to see how you're doing, or hey, do you want to go for a coffee or something. So it's a one-way kind of a thing. So if I can see that, anybody can see that. So reaching out, helping, that would be the way to go.
I think being helpful is the most important thing, whether you're educating someone on things or you're just saying, hey, I was just thinking about you. How are things going? And it's just funny because today, the only thing I wrote was that I have a single Post-it note. And on here, I have curiosity. It's like we talked about last time, just being curious. And the commonality that we talked about, which is that all human beings, being human, the human condition is one where we're all experiencing this, the highs, the lows, the family issues and other things. And then that leading, of course, towards empathy, because we all hopefully are human beings. I don't know which of you here is a cyborg, but I have my suspicions.
It's like what our friend Rich says, what that which is something like that which is most personal is most universal.
Right. Exactly.
He has one of his lessons. So that is so true, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. As long as you remember that these aren't customers, these aren't dollar signs, these are people just like you, that's part of the intention that goes a long way to really being able to deeply connect with somebody instead of just seeing them as a potential source of revenue.
I remember Jay Abraham had a great point about that, and that he doesn't call the people that he works with customers. He calls them clients,
right?
Because he in that presentation or the book was it, he was saying that when you look up these words, customer is all about the transaction and money and all of that, but client is a relationship that you're in charge of taking care of someone. You're the custodian kind of a thing. So those people, maybe the first transaction they are a customer, but beyond that, the follow-up and second and after that, they're now a client. So when we look at, I'm here to take care of these people as opposed to they are my customers to make sales and transactions, that changes the whole approach, deal, and the value will go through.
Well, and that's what when you talked about earlier, there's certain people you just don't want to hear from because they only want to get something from you. They don't necessarily want to give. To me, that's the very transactional relationship that never changes into an exchange of energy. It's just sort of like the energy suck that you want to run away from.
You know, it's really interesting, and you guys were all touching on this. It's never been harder, right, than it is right now to get people invested in what you're doing, like with their attention, right? And the thing that's even harder than that is to get them to maintain interest in what you're doing, right? So when Kayvon and John talk about consistency, and when we think about consistency in publishing, right, you have to put your messages out there consistently on a regular basis. And then when you do this long enough, you start to realize people are going to circle away from you. They're going to move off into other territories and do other things. And then you hear them long enough and you see they start circling back around. You'll see them leave for a while and then come back. They'll come back. Yeah, I was following you a couple of years ago. Then I got out of internet marketing and now I'm back. And you'll see them circle back around. And if you maintain consistent publishing of your messages and your information that you're putting out there, you will maintain a connection. I've had people on my list for years. And yeah, it's powerful, but it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, right? It's hard to consistently put messages out there over the years, you know, and always find something interesting to say. It's not easy. It's difficult.
Yeah, I find myself, my greatest flaw is that I've been consistently inconsistent.
A lot of people.
That's been my big thing.
And sometimes we get it wrong. I remember when I was learning golf.
Yeah.
They were explaining the concept of consistency,
yeah,
and they meant consistent swing, but I kind of got it wrong. So regardless of the club, I'm consistent with 200 yards.
Yeah, there you go.
Doesn't matter what club I take, it's always 200 yards.
Which makes putting really hard.
Oh, tell me about it.
You're hitting the hole 2, 3, or 4 holes away. So,
I'm consistent with the water features. So
water features, yes.
So
my balls,
I'll tell you, it's tough. I have an insiders club, and it's kind of a membership program, and you know, I have a responsibility to put things out for those guys every single month, and you know, it's always about, you know, intent and scheduling and consistency and publishing in that case, and you know, many times, right? Because we're in this 24-hour news cycle, but like many times as a content creator, as an entrepreneur, you find yourself in this weird, like, what do you call it? Artist block? You kind of an artist block. Like, dude, everything's already been said. I have nothing else to say, guys. How many ways can I say go out and build a list and sell them something?
But you have your flavor, like Flavor Flav.
Yeah. So it's difficult sometimes, and sometimes, you know, it's about like, hey, what was the emotion that I was feeling today, and what's the story surrounding that? And that might sound really weird and out there or whatever, but many times some of my best, most highest converting emails started with a simple emotion of frustration, and then I told the story around that frustration and circled that back around to a lesson, and then circled that back around to a pitch. And it sounds simple when I say it, but it takes a little while to practice that kind of stuff.
Those are the best kind of stories. You basically just went through the 4 stages of hero's journey.
Yeah.
Right?
Very quickly.
Yeah.
The Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, the Reader's. And it is so important what you guys said about consistency. Actually, I was talking to someone, and one of her services was consistency coaching. And I thought that's a service that we all need. What do you guys think about that?
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's because, people talk about confidence coaching and people talk about all these other things, but the consistency, the self-discipline, it's almost like you have to be a disciple of your own message.
Yeah. Or hire some people to do it for you.
Yeah.
So like somebody's got to put it out there. Someone's got to stay topical.
The gospel according to John.
Yeah.
Or Cam. I missed that book, the book of Cam.
The book of Cam.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know. I've had a rough week personally because I've been working on this new course called I can't remember the name of it right now. Oh my god!
It's a memory course.
Course you're building or taking?
Was it a memory course?
No, I'm building a course right now. It's really exclusive though. It's just for my insiders, and I might use it as bonuses in the future this year or something. But yeah, it's Masters of Marketing. I'm messing the name up. I don't remember, man. But it doesn't matter. It's been crazy this week trying to put things together in a place that makes sense, so I don't know. It's some of those weeks, man, you know what I mean? They're just rough.
I feel fortunate that we got you here.
Well, it's crazy, and I think the focus has been like, I don't know about you guys, but the global pandemic has changed everything for me, right? I don't know about you guys, but it's just like I go to the grocery store and it's like everyone's wearing a mask. Everyone's staying away from everybody else. And it's so different than it used to be. It's like a different world or something.
Well, it's against the human nature is to herd in groups. And so isolating does have its negative impact on your psyche. But at the same time, as I mentioned in one of our previous shows, that, one of the signs of intelligence of a living organism is the ability to adapt.
Yeah.
And so if you don't want to become extinct, you try to figure out ways.
You got to adapt
with it. Yeah, you got to adapt. And
That's
if you
right.
don't,
you're right, man.
You could become a statistic. So,
well, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I think this pandemic has been an introvert's dream.
Some people
work from home, not talk to people. Sign me up.
I don't have to talk. I don't have to go to coffee with somebody or to a Toastmasters meeting. Awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely been some positives. I started out getting a lot more work done, but then I started losing focus as things went on. It's okay though, right? I mean, like Doc's saying, it's about adapting and overcoming. But I do find it a little harder to focus these days than I used to, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, some adaptogens or other things like the nootropics. We've been trying a couple of them that have actually worked really well. There's a Himalayan one called Mind Calm, which works really well. It's got ashwagandha and a bunch of things. And so, but there's a number of things because Rich Sheffrin has talked about this too. And he had a fellow on one of his broadcasts from Cortex Labs.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that one too. Actually I guess all of us may have remembered that one, but it was interesting because we've found that it actually has helped to take some of these substances. Even the amino acid taurine is very good at helping to calm the nervous system and help you to focus a little bit more.
Man, I'm gonna have to check it out.
You never know. Well, I'll get you offline. We'll talk about some of that stuff.
But lion's mane is very good for that too.
What's that?
Lion's mane. It's a mushroom or fungus.
Yeah.
The pills from that
substitute.
Yeah.
Check that out, man.
Yeah. The other thing, meditation and mindfulness, just a lot more. I know I spend a lot more time meditating, exercising, walking.
That sounds good, man. That sounds
have we talked about morning pages here before?
We did speak about morning pages. Yes.
Yeah. So Cam was mentioning artist block or this meditation, basically because a lot of not being able to focus, not being creative, getting frustrated is we have a busy mind filled with cluttered mind, I should say, filled with crap. And that exercise of morning pages that I learned in the Artist's Way book, which is about removing the block, artist block, that has been working like a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very simple exercise. It's the first thing that you do in the morning before any other contact or communication. So no talking to other people, no social media, no email, no news. That's fresh brain as you wake up, and you write 3 pages of freehand, and
Ooh, that
you
sounds
just let it
interesting.
come. And after that, you get rid of the papers. Nobody's going to look at them ever again.
You can burn them if you want to.
You can borrow.
Can I pack them away in a vault and use them as an asset later when I have
No,
artist
no.
block?
That's more like blackmail.
There you go. That's extortion.
You have the notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Extortion. Yeah.
But
What
it's
else can we do to help people? What else can we do to help people today, Doc?
Well, I think part of the thing. It's interesting that we wound up circling into the whole notion of calming the mind, and it's almost as though we're trying to get our own attention, and then we're trying to maintain that attention within ourselves.
Maybe.
And I think that when we reach a certain point of, I guess we're talking about the nurturing of relationships and gaining attention. I mean, there's a lot of the initial gaining of attention is sort of the hook that we may use either in an email or a video or, think of pickup lines when you were wild and single and at a bar. But there's only so much that you could do with that initial attention and attraction unless you do go deeper and express who you really are. And it's funny because everybody talks about being authentic all the time. And I find it really remarkable and kind of funny that people are practicing authenticity.
Practicing authenticity.
How do you practice authenticity?
You know, it's funny when you just were talking through that, though. It was kind of interesting. I got to thinking, and one of the things I walk people through frequently is what do your customers expect of you, right? And I always think through that question quite frequently. And I know a couple things come to mind always for me. They expect me to be patient. They expect me to be generous in the work that I put out and what I do for them. And I'm sure you guys have things that you could fit into that blank too, but that's a question that I find very relevant whenever I think of stuff like this. And I always kind of go back to that and think about, what their expectations are of me. And I think that helps me to be a better communicator with them in the long run too.
Yeah, I think that some people, I think the characteristics that I may give to people, in fact, I've got patients who are still contacting me. I just had one last night with the MRI of her husband and all kinds of stuff. And I was thinking being encouraging, being optimistic, and just sort of being there and listening and acknowledging that they're important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the receiving part. We were talking about getting their attention because here's the thing. If we have something to say, if there is something that we can do to help them, we have to get their attention and help them listen. So two things comes to my mind, as in this could be a starter of a conversation, could be, starting on an email. One is something that I learned a few weeks ago. It's this little diagram here. So as you can see, there are three circles inside of each other. So the one outside is issues that is on their mind, and they talk about it. So known and spoken.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is known and unspoken.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is unknown issues or deeper issues. So known and spoken is we're talking about this marketing happy hour. I need more leads. It's a known issue. I need more customers, more sales, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Known and unspoken is the things that you don't tell everyone. You say, I don't even know if I'm going to make payroll this month. So it's a known kind of thing.
In there.
Yeah. And unknown is, something in there. So usually the outer layer is talking about symptoms. So we talk about lack of attention, lack of focus, lack of leads, business. The second level is shame, which is if we bring it up and talk about it, like Kam was telling me, write the journey of your book. So today I feel good, today I feel bad. So the thing that is known and unspoken, by speaking it, that's a practice in authenticity. And eventually we can, because of those two layers, we can talk about solution and help them out. So Dan Kennedy talks about sell them what they want, give them what they need.
Yeah.
And that kind of a thing. And speaking of Dan Kennedy and getting attention, I'm sure you guys know this book, the Breakthrough Advertising. And
yes. John's got a good story about that too.
So there is that part about the level of sophistication in the market, which is about how much they have been exposed to message of your kind of product. So
Yeah.
If it's weight loss, we are all in a high level of sophistication. We have heard pills and diets and Dr. So-and-so's method and that sort of thing. So it made it very clear to me that we need to match the starter of the conversation, the headline or the subject line and all of that to their level of sophistication. So if the level of sophistication is low, they don't know much about it, you should talk about the benefits.
Right.
No mention of the product name, and especially in price, is needed. On the other hand, if the level of the sophistication is high, you don't talk about the benefits. You should talk about, maybe the headline could be name and price. So for example, if I want to buy an iPad these days, there is no point, imagine have a headline that I say, you can read your books everywhere. You can read your internet, you have internet. Like people say, I know what an iPad is. Right? If they're nice. So all you have to say is iPad $4.99, because sophistication level is high. But if it's lower, like we have, what is it, 5G on our phone, or what do they call it? There is another 3-letter
LTE.
LTE, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what LTE is. So I can't say LTE $14.99, right? In that case, I'm going to go fast internet wherever you go. So it's all benefits, no mention of the product. So in personal communication, we look at where are they, where am I, what are we going to talk about? Let's match our language with where they are so we can have a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
It is. Go ahead, John. Sorry, man.
Well, no, I just was going to hit on this because obviously breakthrough advertising right now is a book near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Because we've actually been going over it in our group with people in our group. And the funny thing about it, I'll just say this really quickly. It's cool because once you go through it, you don't see anything quite the same way again. It's not an easy book to read either, because the guy who wrote it actually wrote it kind of backwards. It's almost like he had the end in mind, so you have to kind of go to the end and work your way back to the beginning and all the way through it again. But like I said, you never look at things the same way. And we were looking at all these different sites that do communicate with their audience so perfectly. Like if you ever get a chance to go look at the Peloton site, they just communicate with their audience beautifully in a wide variety of age ranges. And it just gets you thinking about stuff a whole different way. So looking at books like that is...
Yeah, it's very sophisticated. What your group again? I keep forgetting the name
Local Marketing Strategies.
It's Local Marketing Strategies. And I know that Ed Winslow's in there with you too. And he did a whole series of notes on breakthrough advertising. He had 13 pages of notes, which is
I've only read the Cliff Notes, but the Cliff Notes.
I want those Cliff Notes.
Super. Yeah.
But I think so. When you talk, Kayvon, you were talking about the benefits, and I was thinking to myself, if I was naive enough and not sophisticated, I was thinking at the very end, yeah, I want that Kindle Fire.
Yeah, it's.
I wasn't necessarily thinking.
Well, it's funny, people look at things more for. And I didn't mean to hop in on Cam, so I want Cam to hop in after me here, but people, we want the lifestyle and the result, right? When we look at things. And we're watching a lot of advertising change now for that exact purpose, the lifestyle and the result. We brought up the thing of Invisaligns. Invisalign used to show all these pictures of people with gnarly looking teeth, and now not at all. It's like the beauty of the perfect smile, and that's what people want is the smile.
Sell the happy, sell the end result.
The lifestyle that it leads to, Yeah. I didn't mean to bump in on you, Cam.
No, you didn't, man. Not at all.
Popular with the girls if your teeth are straight.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll tell you something about this whole thing with spoken, unspoken, and unknown, like what Kayvon was talking about. I'll tell you what, when you're in a saturated niche, or when, I hate even using the word saturated, but like when you're in a niche with a lot of competition, like it really helps to tap into that unspoken. I mean, if you can tap into that unspoken pain point, or that unspoken need, and you can just crank on that thing in the copy, and then you can kind of move into a solution. But it's that unspoken, man. It really makes them feel like they know them, and they can relate to what you have to say, and they feel like they're on the same page with you. But it's that unspoken, and it's tricky because you kind of have to go against the grain of what else you see out there. A lot of the stuff you see out there is templated and it's topical. You know, you
Right.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Well, an imitation, while it may be the sincerest form of flattery, it's not necessarily going to get you anywhere.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a sales killer, man. Conversion tank.
Yeah, you know, one other thing I'm convinced through after, you know, my connection with breakthrough advertising is that there's an awful lot of marketing going on by knee-jerk reaction with no strategy. And clearly, if you've got the strategy in mind before you do anything, you know, like so frequently, right, we're in the agency business, so people come to us and go, "I got to build a website. I gotta SEO my stuff. I gotta connect with an audience." Who's your audience? What's your strategy? They don't know.
I don't know.
We haven't gone through the first step yet of what the strategy is.
I don't know what I want, but I want it now.
It's
Exactly.
a discipline, man. It's a discipline. These cats come in wanting to like go to the karate tournament, like, and they haven't, you know, done a kick in their life, right? And it's like, take me to the Mortal Kombat Championship tournament, you know, but you don't even know how to throw a kick, man. It's a discipline. It takes practice, and you got to get better at it. There's no like shortcuts to being a good marketer. It's not that I know of. Maybe hiring a good mentor can you know really shortcut a little bit for you, but I mean, look, there's pain and frustration involved with getting better at anything. Am I right, guys?
Absolutely.
Are you right or are you right?
I think we're right.
Hey, look, that's the unsexy answer that nobody wants to hear.
I know.
If you want to be a good copywriter, look, people come into this game, they want to put a product out there, they need a sales page. All right. Oh man, I'm not spending $3,000 on a professional copywriter. You know, let me just find a template and I'll copy somebody else's. All right. That's fine, but you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what's actually going to work. You don't know how to analyze the data that's coming into your sales page to begin with. So there's all this like stuff that you don't know how to do. And you start flopping it and you're like, man, I don't know what's going on. Where did I go wrong? And then, but it's a discipline. It takes practice.
The same approach as let's make a viral video.
Yeah.
That's what you're already.
Yeah. I mean,
That's easy. You just get infected and then you put it, you film
There
it.
you go.
That's not the answer.
This
It's a
video.
different viral video.
no.
You know, and that's like raining on people's parade, right? That's not the answer that people want to hear. They don't want to hear that they got to practice for like, you know, 2 years or something to be good at something. They want to get in now, man. Where's the quick money? Where's the fast cars? Where's the mansion? You know,
There is no Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours. I just want I want my Lambo now.
Just give it that. Just give it to me. Yeah.
Well, if you want a buddy, go with them. But if you want a friend, come here.
That's a good way to phrase it. Yeah. It's interesting, man. The way people see things and what they want. And look, man, that goes back to unspoken, right? We go back to what Kayvon's thing with spoken, unspoken, and, you know, unknown. That unspoken is always, I want it and I want it now. Most people are not like naive enough to say that out loud, but that's what everybody wants. That's why the easy money button sells so well. That's why every sales page you go to usually has some variation of easy to do, not going to cost you anything else, and results fast, and no technical skills required. Yeah, that's why it's always there. It's the easy money button because that unspoken pain point is like, I want it now. I'm not going to say it. I know it's naive to think it. Man, I just want it like now. Can I just get it now?
It's the voice in our head, you know. I want it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right?
That self-talk voice is very interesting too, because as Kevin was talking about, when you start drilling down to the underlying needs and other things, you eventually get to the point, the reason why things aren't working for you right now is because you have a low sense of self-worth. But most people never want to hear that. So what they want, and then eventually work in what they actually need. And I found that to be true over and over and over again in clinical practice, as well as working with clients.
But I tell you what, man, go ahead.
One of the great things I heard about self-confidence, which, you know, it's true. And I don't think it's sad. It's just, we know it, and let's help people with it. So it's something that Dan Kennedy said. He said, most people are walking around with their umbilical cord in their hand, looking for a place to plug in.
Got to plug in, yeah.
Well, let's give them a place to plug in, you know, and connect. And with our good intentions that we talked about at the beginning, help them in a way that unknown can become known and unspoken become spoken, and elevate them to the next level.
And the
Yeah.
fantasy is we're looking for a savior or a guru who will make everything better without our effort.
I'll tell you what, man, the success starts like on the journey. Like your
Yeah.
experience is
Yeah.
the beginning of your success. And like it's just it goes from there, man. And you know, I love seeing people succeed. That's why I'm still here, right? I love it when people come back to me a year later and say, dude, that was like the best that really helped me a lot. I really appreciate you putting that out. And it'll be something small. It'll be something little like a YouTube video or a free video or something. It won't even, it'll be like a course or something I didn't even think I did a good job on. I thought it was, man, oh, I shouldn't even put that out, you know? And then someone comes back to me a year later is like, oh, dude, that course, I love, that's my favorite one or whatever. And I love that, man.
And those are the ripples that we send out. I remember many years ago, I had a big open house in my practice in Washington, D.C. And some person who I'd never met in my entire life came towards me, started saying, shook my hand and said, I really want to thank you for helping me. You know, my life is better. I've got, I lost a lot of weight. I'm more physically fit and everything. It's like, who are you? And I was like, well, my roommate is a patient of yours and she did this and this and this and followed all your advice. And I just came along for the ride.
Mm.
And
That's
so
awesome,
that,
man.
if
That's
you
awesome.
know the degree of influence that you have when you do start putting yourself out there and being you and just having this sense of giving and giving and giving. And I always like to think of those ripples that we send out in all directions. So.
I had a guy who was ended up being a coaching client of mine. He started out pirating my courses on a Black Hat forum. He was like, "Hey, man." He told me this one time. We were at a coaching session, one-on-one
boy.
coaching, right? One-on-one coaching, and he
Oh,
told
boy.
me maybe like 2 months into one-on-one coaching, he was like, "Hey, man, listen, I just gotta be honest with you, man. I started out pirating your stuff in a Black Hat forum. That's how I found you."
Oh, boy.
And then it kind of went from there. I was like, "That's
You
crazy,
just have
man."
to tell him, yeah, tonight when you see that red dot on your forehead, don't be
The red
surprised.
dot on your
Hey, man, I started thinking maybe that was a good marketing strategy. Maybe I should just leak my own courses to Black Hat forums.
Some people do some similar things. I know musicians who actually dump their songs out for free. And then, you know, if you want more, you buy the album.
Yeah, I heard this about Windows and Apple back in the 90s, as in,
Yeah.
because there were so many pirated version of Windows operating system, and Microsoft wasn't worried about it because the way that they looked at it is every computer that does not have a competing operating system on it is a win for us, even if we are not getting paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's a really neat way to look at it.
That's one way to maintain attention, which we were talking about earlier, nurture those audiences. We're going to continue in our connection series. We're almost doing a series about connecting with people and making that type of connection eventually profitable for us. But of course, the important thing is our intention is to give so we can improve the lives of others. Give to live.
Give to live. Yes.
Give to live. So we're at the top. We're a little bit past the top of the hour. Any final comments about grabbing attention and maintaining it for the good of the world? John?
No, I think we did a great job covering it today. Just begin with the end in mind and just think about the people you're trying to connect to.
Yeah, don't give up, guys. Keep it moving forward. It'll come if you stay consistent and keep grinding.
Exactly.
Yeah, I second that. Consistency of communication goes a long way.
Consistency. And we will be consistent in coming back here a week from today, which will be February 10th, 4 days before Valentine's Day. So, you want to be somewhat inconsistent about delivering flowers to your wife, except for Valentine's Day.
Yes, there you go.
Just a note. All right.
Same bad time, same bad channel kind of a thing.
Well, same bad time, same bad channel with all of our boy wonders. You can be your own Batman. All right. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
See you
Bye-bye.